Hello, and welcome to something a little bit different. So in the middle of the last series we had a few new nations gain focus trees. New countries/trees, Equus, polar bear communities. For the frigid north, Paul Wellington rules over the disparate polar bear clans, each with their own vision for the bears. Can he maintain their tenuous unity, or will a more ambitious leader take charge? An unforgettable experience awaits for the polar bear communities and the free territory of Adalart. Over 20 years ago, the Griffins of Adalart chased off their exploitative overlord. Murloc Wood and his merry forest brothers have kept the peace for this long, but other interests believe they could do much better. How will you lead the free territory of Adalart? And yeah, we go in, and also one thing I wanted to show you is there is a new image for each of these that looks awesome. Like, these images are so cool. I also love this front image that they've made. Bears and bandits. It's literally just a bear bandit. It should just be bear and bandit, not bears and bandits. But in today's episode, we're going to be checking out the polar bear communities. Brief history. On the northern shores of Equus, the polar bears have recently banded together with a modern civilization. Paul Wellington, a mighty warrior who brought the clans together, will soon be entering his 5th year of rule. His mission, however, is not certain, and clans still chafe under his rule. But with the changelings in the southwest, they may need to learn to cooperate. Can the bears hold on and avoid being conquered by their ancient foes? Well, we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? But yeah, I haven't seen anything about this nation so far. I don't know what its focus tree is like. I don't know what its leader's like. I know truly nothing about any of the new update going into this. So, I'm excited to check it out along with you. Next station we play after this one will probably be Free Territory of Adalart. As there's only 2 nations in this update. I might as well play them both. The polar bear communities land of the frozen sea. Almost all races have a myth or legend from where they spawned. Some claim divine creation, some even dare to proclaim direct divine descent in some form. The polar bears have no such legends or myths, for they claim that they were present upon the world since the start of the days, before the world even truly was. The histories written by magic scribes claim that for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years, Yersin kind roamed the land, if it could be called land, as creatures halfway between the realms of spirit and the material in the blessed primordial cold. They were there before the age of monsters, and when the abominations roamed the land, they were there with them. It is said that during the age of monsters, the polar bears were uplifted from merely existing, like their non-polar brethren, into thinking and dreaming by the mystical Allfeather. They claimed that his blessing, they gained the power to forge great empires of Ursins and sit on top of the primordial food chain. How exactly such alleged empires of so-called primordial frost existed, in contrast with historically proven warmer climates and ruins of ancient pony settlements, with ponies never mentioned in the stories of Magi, is something that bear scholars refuse to elaborate upon, and have been prone to threaten violence if questioned too much upon. It is somewhere during this alleged period, the so-called Age of Starsteel, polar bears moved from nearly nomadic tribes of warriors into more settled societies, taught by legendary magical beasts such as the Gallenbursty, direwolf Fenrir, and the nameless Great Raven, and so on. I love Fenrir. I have a player character in a D&D campaign called Fenrir, so that just got me distracted. It is said that during this period, bear armor was first forged, and great armies of armored bears marched across the north under various alleged warlords and pseudo-monarchs, with so-called monster kings being an often applied moniker. And in the heartlands of their race, which bears claim are their true lands, great holes were dug into the mountains and raised in the great taigas, and tundras. One would assume that such primordial, and as any pony, griffin, or changeling scholar would proclaim, clearly absurd statement on history, even if believed by some creatures, should hold absolutely no importance on societies, politics, and economics and ways of war in the modern day. However, it is this mythological past that bears find their definition. Many of them, even in the modern day, believe they are creatures of primordial frost in some form, with statements about frozen souls and hearts of ice prevalent in bear rhetoric. Furthermore, many of them seem to feel some kinship with the countless wild beasts that roam the north still. In any case, on the shores of the polar ocean, there are many clans, as well as a healthy population of clanless bears, from the spiritual shamans of Clan Rozokrats to the arrogant warriors of Clan Kane, from the fortress lords of Clan Gotlung to the penguin majority fishers of Clan Unkler. The politics of the communities are defined by clans. Westlandia is home to the upstart Triple Alliance, Falsen, Broadcorp, and Binkestock, and Key Lake was once home to the crystal-obsessed Clan Rosenberg and gold-hungry Clan Totzelgern. But any discussion of clans would be incomplete without including the three great clans. The harmonists, Voltker, the warrior scholars of Swats, Pelts, and the currently ruling Skyfling. Each of these three great clans has far more resources and power than a lesser clan, and each would make a worthy leader for the communities. The clanless bears, for their part, are willing to cooperate with anyone who treats them well, and are being increasingly integrated with the newly modernized communities. Paul Wellington of Clan Skyfling, devote of the communities, has ruled with a fair but firm paw for the past years, acting as a modernizing force, dragging the backwards communities into the industrial age. During the Unification War of 1000 to 1002, Paul pitted muskets and Griffonian mercenaries against traditional axes and armor, eventually conquering or allying with every clan save two, the aforementioned Clan Roseverb and Clan Trotschen, who were exiled for collaborating with changelings. They have not been seen since they were driven into Changeland. Paul has been a good ruler by modern standards, but not necessarily by bear standards. He's perhaps too distant, too obsessed with foreign ideas, and many clans are getting tired of his seemingly absurd demand for unity and modernization. Change may be coming. While it is unlikely that any of the minor clans could truly throw his effect to him, Princess Era of Voltker and Thunder Lord Torben of Swats Pelts may be another matter. Time in Equestria has changed her, and she now dreams of a new dawn for the bears. Torben has been faithful ally to Pa, but even he may not be able to tolerate some of the changes to come. While the bears may be divided internally, they largely agree on enemies abroad. The terrible changelings must be dealt with, and the Griffin frontier is rightful bear territory that must be regained. A union with the penguins would also be desirable, as the two people share souls of frost and polar winds. Will the polar spirit of the land of the frozen sea endure, or will it be subjugated by its encircling enemies? Only time will tell. Alright, we have count 'em two research slots. That's pretty good. Ooh, bears have their own, the polar bear technologies. So they have their own stuff. I've never seen these. Good. Effect. That's my favorite one. I love effect. I'm being too harsh, but it's fun to be harsh sometimes. Traditional Panzergen equipment? Huh. Is that for these guys? Let me see. Yes, they are. So you are probably their special unit. Yeah, special template. On my own time after this video, I'll check out how they compare, like, strength-wise in comparison to other things. Probably, if I remember. Foreign policy, that's fine. Many clans make up the polar bear communities, each with their own strengths, weaknesses, and histories. Some are as old as the Age of Monsters, with others have formed within the last 50 years, but all are proud members of her race, lording their status over the many clanless bears. The clanless bears, in turn, either envy the clans or mock their self-forged change. Ooh, now that's a lot of lore right there. Alright, all of you pinned down. We'll deal with you first. Good. Okay. And now, well, we've got a bit of lore to check out. Wow, we have a we cannot deal with actually running our economy. Oh, that's probably partially why. We're building big ships for some reason. Well, after we finish that one, we'll start building more normal-sized expected ships, which makes a lot more sense. Oh, we have Wellington and 2 guys that don't even get a picture. I mean, you seem like the best ones, so I'll throw you in charge. Let's see. Let's check out Let's check out our generals and see if any of them has descriptions first. Mishka is... I feel like that's the name of someone. Also, you're a communist. Good for you, I guess. Bears are large mammalian creatures, known for their large size, powerful claws, and lush fur. They have no magical abilities to speak of. While they appear friendly and to some cuddly, they can have quite the temper and are among the most ferocious opponents one can find. Curiously, not all bears exhibit sapience, and most are simply wild animals. However, polar bears, a type of bears with white fur, are for the most part sentient creatures. Polar bears are mostly carnivorous, but other types of bears have more various diets. Remember, only you can prevent forest fires. Ha, ha, ha. Wait. You guys are like the exact same, except you get an extra supply, you get an extra skill. Besides that, you are the same thing. You get an extra planning speed. I'll take the supply consumption as the second one. Alright. Clan Skyfling. The ruling faithful. Many descriptions of modern Yersing society must begin with Paul Wellington, uniter and despot of the polar bear communities. He tranced Skyfling for merely... There we go. I need a drink. Merely the most religious clan to a modernizing force that dragged us into the 11th century. Before his return from Griffonia, Skyfling's primary role was to worship the Almighty Father, he who uplifted bears from beasts to thinking beings, and the great beasts who gave us important aspects of our society. Great Raven taught us magic, Gallenbursey, the great boar, taught us metalworking, and Fenrir taught us the hierarchy of the strong. Skyfling was changed by the return of the mercenaries, and the new Skyfling is still finding its place in history. Paul is a devout bear, but he is also a believer in the value of modernity. He brought home a great battleship with which to threaten the vile changelings, and his mercenaries were armed with the best Griffonia had to offer. With these weapons and troops, he made preparations to finally unite us under one leader. We Swats Pelts joined his war, and together all fell before our combined might. Now I must yet more changes to our nation in the name of modernity. He has imported rifles from Nova Griffonia to armor soldiers, and tractors from Equestria to aid in the farming of tubers. While many believe him to be visionaries, others fear he is leading us down a truly dark path that will end our soul's connection with the forest forever. Only time will tell if the leadership will end in glory or disaster. From History of Polaria, Book 185 of Swatspel's Archive. Clan Swatspelts and Anchor, the Lords of Thunder and their penguins. It's difficult to write about yourself, and that's truly of a clan as well. Nevertheless, we must try. We Swatspelts are the greatest source of Panzerwurst, with our entire standing army consisting solely of them. We have among the mightiest warriors, and are also the keepers of both bear tradition and knowledge. What the races of fires would group together in creature studies are one of our greatest talents. Some would call us conservative, or even reactionary, and it is true, we can be too slow to accept change. We would reply that change is only rarely an unconditional good thing, and a certain apprehension is wise. We would also point to Thunderlord Torben's great alliance with Paul Wellington that brought the bears together under a despot for the first time in living memory. Of Clan Anchor, there is little to say. They are sworn fetally to us, and have been since in time immemorial. Majority penguin, they largely want to be left alone to fish the rich waters in the frozen sea. We would be remiss to leave out a description of Torben, as it is a matter of public knowledge that our elders must undergo a ritual of being struck by lightning. It should be no surprise that he has truly earned his title. He's without a doubt the mightiest bear warrior alive, able to take on any foe and win. He is also a great scholar in his own right, with a deep and profound understanding of the classics and of bear society. He has a great and true friendship with Pa, and has forced our more reactionary elements to accept the changes our despot has enacted. His hatred for the changeling is also unmatched, and he stands ready to lead any warband against them. Hopefully his reign as Thunderlord will be long and secure, and no changeling's perfidy brings him low before his time. From History of Polaria, Book 186 of the Swats Pelts Archive. Clan Voltker. The Southern Harmonists. Once Voltker was the greatest rival of Swatspels. We and they clashed time and time again, battling for the title of strongest Urson warriors. They led raid after raid into the Yak Mountains, seeking always to expand their holdings. During the Unification Wars, they were nearly destroyed. After Princess Ura's return, they were built, but became very different. Her time in the far south had changed her, and she returned a devout harmonist, espousing the values of Equestria. We were horrified at how much our old rivals had fallen, but Paul Wellington stopped us from expunging this cancer. He decreed that just as our tradition was important to bearkind, so was an inclination towards progress needed to counterbalance it. The fact they brought much knowledge of equestrian technology didn't hurt the matter. Their leader, Princess Aria, is a skillful warrior and strategist who once sought to subjugate Westlandia and wipe out Swatspels. But her time in Equestria and the Crystal Empire has left her with a desire to lead the clans toward a harmonious future, where the weak are protected instead of exploited, and the strong rule with wisdom and kindness. While such ideas seem mad to us, who knows what the future will bring? Perhaps one day all birdkind will be united behind her. From History of Polaria, Book 187 of the Swatspels Archive. I mean, they seem surprisingly open. Like, despite not liking her, they still seem like, hey, they might win out, whatever. Clans Fulson, Broadcorp, and Binkstock. The Triple Alliance. Westlandia, unlike all other regions of the communities, had no great tradition or ancient clans. It has long had minor clans that briefly flickered into existence, were subjugated or fractured on their own, and then faded away, their culture subsiding into the wider Westlandian way of life. But the current three minor clans, Fulson, Broadcorp, and Binskoptok, are known to be periodically form a defensive pact they call the Triple Alliance. While none of these upstarts could challenge a great clan alone, together they may as well be strong enough to outmatch even a great clan if they ever develop an ambition for such a feat. Westlandia is also notable for its great amount of owlbears. Owlbears are, of course, large and strong griffins who have proven themselves in combat against a bear. Westlandia further has many griffin whelps in servitude to the civilians of the clan, remnants of attempted invasion by griffin adventurers who seem to have believed in a city made of precious crystals within Urson lands. It's without a doubt the most Griffonian region of the communities. Legends have it that millennia ago, true clans known as the Jotnar Monster Kings once ruled over Westlandia and the lands east of it, and that they were expunged from this world by invading forces. If true, ruins of these long-gone clans may be found in the frontier. In any case, Westlandians live among ruins and trash, erecting new fortresses and factories, instead of trying to rebuild the ruins' holds. Paul Wellington's industrial plans have found great success there, but the support of these clans is hardly a glowing endorsement. With luck, the Triple Alliance will collapse under its own weight, and they will be easy prey for better Ursins. From History of Polaria, Book 188 of the Swatspels Archive. Okay, well, they aren't a fan of them. Like, they're okay with the princess existing. They're like, well, we disagree with our ideas, but maybe she'll take over, whatever. And then the Triple Alliance, and they're like, pathetic! How dare they exist! Like, this is actually, all of these are not only giving insight into the clan, but also giving insight into them, because they're the writing of these, apparently. The Warlords. Unlarter is home to three warlord clans, Rosenkratz, Kane, and Gottlum. Rosenkratz are closely connected to the countless roaming shamans, they who look into the Northwind and use the frost to heal wounds, or even see the past or future. Kane are the only rivals we Spellpels have for the mightiest warriors, and it is true that they are extremely ferocious and often reaching truly absurd sizes that exceed even many Sparspel's bears. Their ability to craft thunder armor and weapons against it are often lacking, however, and Gotlung are a masters of defense, being unusually centralized into a single impregnable hold that extends underground of proportions titanic enough it holds an entire tuber gardens within. Great Ace of Cain is mother to countless mighty warriors, and unmatched in her arrogance as well. The nameless shaman king of Rotskratz is isolationist and cautious, befitting one who could see across the ages. And unconventionally, Gotlung is not ruled by a single elder, but a council of them, which votes on all issues to determine the direction the clan will take, which combined with the mindset of the clan merely leads them to be continued fortifications of their lands, rather than direct action. Each of these clans is small and likely little threat to the Great Clan, but even Swats would struggle to outmatch one of these clans in its area of expertise. What their place will be in the future of a race remains uncertain, but should Paul retain them on his side, we are likely to see good destiny of unbreachable defense and mighty shock troops thundering across the north. From History of Polaria, Book 189 of Swats Archive. Clans Rosenverd and Chordenstern. The Exiled Heretics. Not every clan defeated in the Unification Wars deserved a place in Paul Wellington society. Two clans from the shores of Key Lake, Rosenverd and Chordenstern, faced exile for their cooperation with the hated changelings. Before their fall, Rosenverd were the clan most interested in innate magic of crystals. They were obsessed with modernization as well, and worked with the changelings for nearly a century. The little is known of their current activities. Scattered rumors report that they have become fixated on technology and the fusion of bear and machine. Their leader, Administrator 001, is believed to have combined machine, magic, and bear into one physical abomination. Tundred was once the second clan of shamans. They also had a deep and abiding interest in metals deemed worthless by their bears, especially gold. When they were exiled, they took their gold with them, and if the wildest rumors are to be believed, their secret troves of star steel. What is known is that they claim to synthesize a sort of star steel-like alloy, and their lord Midas desires ever more gold for this purpose. For now, the two exiled clans bide their time in the changing lands. If all goes well, we will never see them again, and they will either be destroyed or return to savagery like the bears in the northern Satanic shore. But their story may not be over yet. From History of Polaria, Book 190 of the Swats Archive. Those without a clan, the wandering outcast. From the clanless bears who chose or were forced into a life of freedom, to the wandering nomads of the frontier, to the brutal savages of the changing lands, a great mass of bears do not live in a clan. There are many of them, but they tend to be more compliant than the clans, going along with the wishes of whatever Yersin rules the region they dwell within, and offering services as generals and advisors, with little care for ideology or doctrine. These bears are generally spared by the most brutal wars of Earthsons, which has led some cynics to mutter that no matter who wins wars among Earthsonkind, the true winners are those without a clan. The clanless bears of the communities and lands nearby are those who were expelled from or never were part of a clan. They usually operate in independent war bands or holds, free from the constraints of a clan's rules, yet also devoid of the protections and sense of unity a clan offers. They are brought together by a strong figure, and usually disperse once that figure dies. There are at least 1 million of them, and perhaps more, yet the very sense of individuality that defines them prevents them from ever rising to conquer clan bears. The nomads, those without a home or a culture, are most concentrated in the frontier and borderlands of Nova Graphonia, but can be found nearly anywhere across the north. According to legends, they are descendants of the long-god Jotnar monster kings, and direct inheritors of the legacy of the pre-clan nomadic monster armies, though if this is true, they seem largely unaware of this. One possible exception is the communist revolutionary Ice Bear, who is generally believed to be a nomad with uncanny intelligence and cunning. Of the savages of the changing lands, most commonly found in the northern Saturn shore and nearby mountains and forests, there is little to say. They live like bears, mauling and devouring anything they need to survive. Their weapons are primitive, and many of them are unable and unwilling to produce armor, relying on magics to coat themselves in layers of ice. While they may be brutes, they are still Ursines, and we cannot help but feel a kinship to them. Perhaps one day, when the preferredest changelings are defeated and grovel for mercy, we'll reunite with our lost kin. From History's Polaria, Book 191 of Swats Archive. And there we go! Alright, the yearly... Oh, wait, first, we have other things to read. Paul Wellington has been many things in his life. Wanderer, mercenary, unifier, and now despot. He fought in the Republican Revolution as a mercenary, where his warband distinguished themselves with excellent combat performance, if somewhat tainted by political unreliability and looting. When time came for his payment, his employers lacked the funds to pay him, so they gave him an ancient battleship, which sparked his long-running interest in the Navy. Paul led the Unification Wars from 1000 to 1002, where he exiled the clans of Roosevelt and Tuchern and subjugated the rest. For the past 5 years, he has tried to modernize society, purchasing rifles from Nova Graphonia and attempting to form a truly united polar bear nation. By foreign standards, he is a firm but fair ruler, interested in the well-being of the polar bear race as a whole. But by polar bear standards, he has been a mad tyrant, making absurd demands of the clans, who are rapidly getting sick of the inept pontitus and ridiculous ambitions. In his own mind, he feels he is inefficient and not powerful enough. Grover the First, Grover the Second, and Kremsky tolerated no defiance. Why should he? With his 5-year anniversary of rulership approaching, only time will tell how he fares in the changing situation on Equus. Polar bear temper. Bears fight like creatures possessed, and many would rather die than surrender their honor. They are ready to face down impossible odds for their clans. And we get back war support very quickly from our different casualties. That's cool. Polar bear exiles, eccentric criminals and outcasts and cultists all are sent out from our lands to find a home elsewhere. Unfortunately, this has slowed our research, as some of our brightest minds wind up in exiles. Sad. Clan divides. The 3 great clans of polar bears cannot see eye to eye, and even the smaller clans are often at odds. This seriously debilitates the country. It must be resolved for the polar bears to stand united. Repaying griffins for rifles. We have purchased breech-loaded rifles from Nova Graphonia and are still paying back our debt. Oh, that's annoying. But I guess that's why we start with quite a few rifles, so that's cool. But I think we're gonna go ahead and end this episode right now, and we'll start their actual focus tree in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button. And as always, peace.